Museums aren't all famous items and stunning paintings. Sometimes, there are certain things in a museum that can be genuinely spooky. Visits to a museum is currently practically impossible due to the widespread closure of institutions due to lockdowns, unless you opt for a virtual museum tour, that is. In today's video, we bring to you the top 12 scariest items found in museums. Subscribe to the channel, get some snacks ready, and let's go. 12. The Dybbuk Box. A dybbuk, an item from Jewish folklore, is said to haunt the Dybbuk Box, a wine cabinet. The box became famous when its owner Kevin Mannis auctioned it off on eBay. In his item description, Mannis made up a tale involving Jewish Holocaust survivors and paranormal claims. According to legend, he bought an antique wine cabinet from the granddaughter of Havila, a recently deceased Holocaust survivor who fled Nazi-occupied Poland. Have lost her father, mother, brothers, sister, husband, 2 boys, and daughter. The wine cabinet was just one of 3 things that Havila, who lived to be 103, brought to the United States. 11. The Dead Man's Chair. The Dead Man's Chair, also known as the Busby Stoop Chair, is a legendary haunted wood chair that was supposedly cursed by the murderer Thomas Busby before his hanging in North Yorkshire, England, in 1702. There is a legend about the Chair of Death that takes place in a little village in North Yorkshire, England, far from the bustle of the city. A chair crafted of oak initially appears common and ordinary. But who would have imagined that the hanging chairs in the corner of a museum would prevent visitors from sitting in this death chair, which has been the target of a 300-year curse cast by the owner of the death chair. It turns out that the history of this chair is so horrific that it can give you shivers. 10. The Dark Mirror. This scrying mirror was purchased by the previous owner after he went to a psychic fair in the Columbus, Ohio, area and saw nothing but horrible visions when looking into the dark reflection. The mirror seems to use the gazer as an energy source while also acting as a window into their worries. During scrying sessions, museum visitors have claimed to see their own bodies staring back at them through the reflection, their own bodies aging, winking, smiling, and even disappearing. The museum's psychomantium is the greatest place to use the dark mirror because there are fewer distractions there. 9. The Catskills Crone. The Catskills' reputation extends beyond only its looks. It seems to have a long history of paranormal activity. The Crone statue, which is a component of the Traveling Museum of the Paranormal and Occult, continues to perplex researchers on a daily basis. 2 hikers came across this odd, hand-carved monument in a tiny cave in the Catskill Mountains of New York when venturing off the beaten path. 6 rusty nails were stuck in each of its eyes, and a filthy piece of cord was tightly cinched around its neck. The crone, an evil specter with an undernourished body and eyes that glowed in the dark, was seen on the 7th day, crouching in the living room's shadows. The hikers got in touch with the Newkirks, who safely stored the artifact in the museum's inventory. 8. Great Bed of Ware. One of the biggest treasures in the V&A is the Great Bed of Ware. The magnificent 4-poster bed is renowned for being over 3 meters wide and the only known example of a bed this size. It is said to be able to fit at least 4 couples. The enormous bed has a reputation that is a touch racier than most of the museum's antique furnishings. It was probably built in the 1590s as a tourist attraction for an inn in Ware, Hertfordshire. The bed gained such popularity that Sir Toby Belch in Shakespeare's Twelfth Night, 1601, refers to a piece of paper as being large enough for the bed of Ware. 7. The Gatekeeper. This old child's coffin with its papier-mâché skeleton, which was once an important component of Independent Order of Odd Fellows initiation ceremonies, is more than just a piece of the history of secret societies. It is a haunting object that identifies as the gatekeeper. The coffin and whatever creature has become fond of it have assumed the function of a mediator between the living and the dead as a result of its long history of involvement with death, ritual use, and initiation. The gatekeeper identified itself during an early examination with the object as the Crossroads Keeper, a role frequently performed by Papa Legba, a Loa in Hadean voodoo who acts as a liaison between the Loa and humans. 6. Iceman. C is a frozen mummy from the Copper Age who has survived to the present day due to unusual circumstances. He has slowly shared his vast expertise with others. He was unintentionally discovered by hikers on the Schnallstal/Val-Senales Valley Glacier in 1991, together with his clothing and gear, and has since been the focus of extensive study. C was killed and preserved naturally in the ice about 5,300 years ago while he was crossing Tyssenjoch/Giogo di Tisa in the Schnallstal/Val-Senales Valley, South Tyrol. Because of this, he is older than Stonehenge and the Egyptian pyramids and the product of a string of strange coincidences. C lived in the late Neolithic era known as the Copper Age. 5. The Goddess of Death statue. In 1878, a strange limestone sculpture was discovered in Lem, Lempa, Cyprus. Although it goes by the name Women from Lem, it has acquired the nickname Goddess of Death. Its true function is unknown, but it may have been a fertility statue or a representation of a goddess whose name has since been forgotten. It dates back to 3500 BC. The original proprietor was Lord Elfont. All 7 members of his family died within 6 years after purchasing the statue. In an effort to stop the curse from killing someone else, Beaverbrook's 2 surviving sons donated the statue to the Royal Scottish Museum in Edinburgh. The museum curator who looked after the statue passed away unexpectedly a year later. The sculpture of the women from Lem is still there, safely tucked away in the museum behind glass, where presumably it can no longer cause any harm. 4. The Koh-i-Noor Diamond. The Koh-i-Noor is one of the largest cut diamonds ever found, weighing 105.6 carats. It is a fragment of the British crown jewels. The Queen Mother's crown currently has the diamond set in it. There is a curse on the Koh-i-Noor Diamond that only affects men. Hindu proverb allegedly states that he who owns this gem will own the world, but will also know all its misfortunes according to folklore. It can only be worn by God or women without repercussion. Every royal who held the gem would eventually lose his position of authority, if not his life. The stone was traded between rulers for more than 500 years through bloody battles and cruel uprisings. 3. Robert the Doll. An purportedly haunted doll named Robert the Doll is on display at the East Martello Museum in Key West, Florida. Robert Eugene Otto, a painter, author, and former Key West resident, once owned Robert. The doll is said to possess supernatural powers that enable it to move, alter its face expressions, and emit chuckling noises. Other stories state that the doll vanished after Otto's house changed hands several times after his passing, or that young Otto triggered the doll's paranormal abilities by attributing his misfortunes as a child to the doll. 2. The Unlucky Mummy. A lovely and stunning coffin case might be found among the gloomy sarcophagi, enormous stone pharaohs, bandaged mummies, somber pillars, and statues of distant deities at the Egyptian section of the British Museum in London. The British Museum purchased this painted wooden mummy board of an unnamed woman in 1889. It has been blamed for numerous significant disasters, including the RMS Titanic crash in 1912, earning it the nickname the Unlucky Mummy. All of these reports are untrue, of course, but on occasion their fury has led to a flurry of questions concerning the subject. 1. The Annabelle Doll. The paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren's Occult Museum is home to a purportedly haunted Raggedy Ann doll named Annabelle. Thereafter, Annabelle was relocated due to alleged hauntings in 1970. The doll was donated to a nursing student in 1970, according to the Warrens. They said that the doll exhibited odd behavior and that a psychic medium informed the student that the doll was possessed by the ghost of a dead girl by the name of Annabelle. The student and her roommate attempted to accept and care for the doll that was in possession of a ghost, but the doll apparently behaved in a frightening and cruel manner. The doll was moved to the Warrens Museum at this time, according to them, after they declared it to be demonically possessed. In Monroe, Connecticut's Warrens Occult Museum, the doll remained enclosed in a glass case. I hope you enjoyed the video. Give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell notification icon, so you'll be notified when we drop another video.